Hey everyone, ready to tackle a question that I know a lot of you have probably wondered about at some point.
Mm-hmm.
What's the deal with fasting and muscle loss?
Yeah.
Like, can you fast and actually keep all those gains you've worked so hard for?
Right.
There's just so much information out there, and a lot of it just like contradicts itself,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely.
So we're diving deep today
Mm.
into an article called "Do You Lose Muscle When You Fast? The Truth About Fasting and Muscle Loss." It's from Healthy Temple.
Okay.
And I think in this deep dive, we're going to be able to cut through a lot of that noise,
Yeah,
give you guys like the real science-backed truth about what fasting does to your
for
muscles.
sure.
And you might even be surprised by some of the things that we find out.
I think so.
So yeah, get ready, because we're going to find out exactly how to fast
Yeah.
without sacrificing all those gains.
Yeah.
So like right off the bat, when you start fasting,
Mm.
does your body just like instantly start eating your muscles for fuel?
That's what people think, but no, not quite. It's more like your body has this really smart backup energy system, you know? So when you're fasting and that glucose that it usually uses for fuel starts to run low, your body's like, no problem, I got this. And it switches over to burning stored fat for energy.
So it's like it has a plan B ready to go.
Totally. And that's
Hey.
where ketosis kicks in.
Ketosis? I feel like everyone's talking about ketosis these days.
Yeah.
But is there actually any truth to the idea that, like, if you fast for too long, you're going to start breaking down muscle?
You know, there is some truth to that, but like you said, it's not the whole picture. So if
Right.
you do prolonged fasting, like more than 72 hours,
Okay.
you can see an increase in muscle protein breakdown.
Gotcha.
And research in metabolism, clinical and experimental, suggests that breakdown increases by like 13% after 72 hours.
13%. So longer fasts do come with, like, a slightly higher risk of muscle loss than...
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay, so the article also mentions this idea of proper refeeding. What does that even mean? And how does it, like, protect your muscles after you've done a long fast?
It's a great question. It's really important, actually.
Yeah.
So after a prolonged fast, it's not just about what you eat,
No.
it's about how you reintroduce food.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like if you were diving deep underwater and then you come up for air,
Right.
you don't want to just like shoot straight up to the surface right away.
Right. You got to decompress.
You got it.
So I guess that means no diving headfirst into a giant pizza after a 72-hour fast.
Right. It's more about gradually reintroducing food.
Yeah.
Give your digestive system a chance to kind of like wake up again.
Right.
And it helps prevent those crazy blood sugar swings too.
Gotcha. So no sudden shocks to the system.
Exactly.
All right. That makes total sense. So let's talk about how we can actually prevent muscle loss
Mm-hmm.
while fasting. What can people do to make sure they keep all those hard-earned gains?
Well, the first thing is protein.
Okay. Everyone loves protein.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to make sure you're getting enough of it. It's like the building block of muscle,
Hmm.
especially when you're fasting. Think of it as the repair crew that keeps those muscles strong.
So how much protein are we talking here?
Well, the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition suggests aiming for somewhere between 1.6 and 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight each day,
Okay.
which is roughly like 0.7 to 1 gram per pound if you're using pounds.
Okay, that makes sense. So what are like some good real-world protein sources that people could easily add into their meals?
Oh, there are so many options, like lean meats, fish,
Yeah.
eggs,
Mm.
Greek yogurt, lentils,
Lentils, yeah.
beans, even good old protein shakes.
Nice. So find what you like and just make sure you're getting enough.
Exactly.
Okay, so protein's covered. What else can we do to protect our muscles while fasting?
This one's important, strength training.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
It's like your secret weapon. When you lift weights, you're sending the signal to your body,
Mhm.
like, hey, I need these muscles, so don't even think about breaking them down.
Oh, so it's like basically non-negotiable if you're fasting.
It's pretty crucial. Yeah.
All right, so we got to hit those weights. What about the timing of our workouts, though?
Yeah.
Does it matter if we're working out fasted or if we've eaten?
That's a good question, and it really depends.
Oh,
Some
yeah.
people love fasted workouts, and they get great results.
Right.
But if you're doing like super intense workouts,
Hmm.
it might actually be better to have some fuel in your system
Yeah.
so you can perform at your best and prevent too much muscle breakdown.
So it sounds like there's some trade-offs.
Yeah, for sure. It's all about experimenting and finding what works best for you.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
So pay attention to your body, how it's feeling.
Exactly.
All right, so we've got protein intake, strength training, timing our workouts.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that's crucial for protecting our muscles during a fast?
Oh, yeah. Don't forget about hydration.
Right. Water's important.
It's super important. And you know what? The being dehydrated can actually increase muscle protein breakdown.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's true. So even if you're doing everything else right, if you're not drinking enough water,
Mm-hmm.
you could still be sabotaging your efforts.
Wow. Okay, so hydration is key.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about supplements.
Okay.
Are there any supplements that can help preserve muscle while we're fasting?
There are a couple that have shown some promising results.
Okay, I'm curious.
But remember, supplements should always be like an addition to a good diet and exercise plan.
Right, they're not like a magic solution.
Exactly. So one to consider is BCAAs, or branched chain amino acids.
Okay, I've heard of those. What do they do?
Well, there was a study in Nutrition and Metabolism, and it found that BCAA supplements actually reduced muscle breakdown by 17% during fasting.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's significant.
Yeah.
And another supplement that might help is leucine.
Leucine, okay.
It's an essential amino acid that's super important for building new muscle tissue.
Okay.
So the idea is that it could help your body repair and build muscle even when you're not eating.
So even when you're fasting.
Right. Some research suggests it might have similar benefits to BCAAs when it comes to muscle preservation.
So they're both worth looking into.
Yeah, definitely. But always remember, more research is always coming out,
Mm-hmm.
and it's always best to talk to your doctor before you start taking any new supplements.
Absolutely, great advice.
Mm.
All right, so we've got protein, strength training, workout, timing, hydration, and some potential supplements.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else we should know about preserving muscle while we're fasting?
Yeah, there's one more thing that's really cool. Our bodies actually have some pretty awesome built-in mechanisms that help us hold on to muscle even when we're not eating.
Really?
Yeah, and it all comes down to two key players, growth hormone and insulin.
Hormonal heroes.
That's right.
Okay, tell us more about them.
Yeah.
How do they help preserve muscle?
So when you fast, your body starts producing more growth hormone, or GH.
Mm-hmm.
And we already talked about how it helps burn fat.
Right.
But it also plays a big role in protecting your muscles. Research from the American Journal of Physiology shows that GH levels can actually spike by like 300 to 500% after just 24 hours of fasting.
Whoa, 300 to 500%. That's a huge increase.
It's pretty amazing, right? And then there's insulin.
I always thought of insulin as the thing that like helps regulate blood sugar.
It definitely does that.
Yeah.
But it's also crucial for muscle growth and repair.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and here's the cool part. Fasting actually makes your body more sensitive to insulin,
Oh, okay.
which means your muscles can absorb nutrients more efficiently.
So it's like fasting helps our muscles make the most of the food we eat when we're not fasting.
That's a great way to put it.
Awesome. So it seems like our bodies are pretty well equipped to handle fasting.
They really are.
And maybe it's not as bad for our muscles as we might think.
Not at all. When it's done right, it can actually be really beneficial.
This is all great news for anyone who's like been wanting to try fasting but been worried about losing muscle.
Definitely.
But we do need to talk about some of the words of caution that the article mentions. Because fasting isn't necessarily for everyone, is it?
It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
Right. So who are some of the people that should maybe be a little more cautious about fasting?
So first off, anyone who already has a very low body fat percentage,
Okay.
they need to be careful because fasting could lower their body fat even more,
Mm-hmm.
which might not be healthy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
So it's about finding that balance, right?
It is.
Okay, what about other groups?
Older adults should also be careful with fasting.
Okay.
As we get older, we naturally start to lose muscle mass,
Right.
and fasting could potentially make that worse if it's not done right.
Okay, so maybe they need to be extra careful about protein and strength training.
Yeah. Or maybe even avoid fasting altogether, depending on their health.
Right, that's where talking to your doctor would be a good idea.
Absolutely.
All right, is there anyone else that should be cautious with fasting?
One more group, high-performance athletes.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Their bodies need a constant supply of fuel, you know?
Right, to keep up with all that training.
Exactly. So fasting might not be the best fit for them.
Okay, so if you're pushing your body to the limits, you might need to reconsider fasting.
That's right.
All right, so to recap, people with low body fat, older adults, and high-performance athletes should all be extra cautious about fasting.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good reminder that even though fasting has a lot of potential benefits,
Yeah,
it's not for everyone, and we need to think about our individual circumstances.
absolutely. It's all about working with your body,
Yeah.
not against it.
All right, so let's do a quick review of what we've learned so far.
Okay.
We busted the myth that fasting always leads to muscle loss
Right.
and discovered that when you do it right, Intermittent fasting doesn't have to mean losing all your gains.
It doesn't.
In fact, it can actually help you lose fat and keep your muscle,
Exactly.
especially if you follow the right strategies,
Oh.
like getting enough protein,
Right.
strength training, timing your workouts strategically, staying hydrated, and maybe even considering some supplements like BCAAs or leucine.
Good stuff.
And we even learned that our bodies have these awesome built-in mechanisms, like growth hormone and insulin,
Right.
that help us preserve muscle even when we're fasting.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. I'm
Yeah.
feeling way more confident about trying fasting now without worrying about losing all my hard-earned muscle.
That's great.
But we're not done yet. In part 2, we're going to dive even deeper into the potential benefits of fasting for muscle growth.
Yes.
And we'll also tackle some of the common myths and misconceptions.
Absolutely.
So stay tuned.
Can't wait. Welcome back to our deep dive into fasting and muscle loss.
I'm ready for more.
All right, so we've busted some myths, laid some groundwork.
Mhm.
Now, I want to get to a question that I bet a lot of people are wondering.
Okay, shoot.
Can fasting actually help you build muscle?
Really? I always thought it was the opposite. Like you need to eat tons of food
Yeah.
and protein to build muscle.
It seems counterintuitive, right?
So,
But you might be surprised. It's not just about the food you eat.
okay.
Fasting can play a pretty interesting role in muscle growth, too.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, remember those hormonal changes we talked about?
Yeah.
Specifically that surge in growth hormone during fasting?
Oh, yeah. GH. Our muscle-protecting, fat-burning friend.
That's the one. Well, it turns out GH isn't just about preserving the muscle you already have.
Okay.
It's also involved in building new muscle tissue.
Really? So by fasting and boosting our GH levels, we could actually be helping our bodies build more muscle.
Exactly. It's like giving your muscle building efforts a little natural boost.
I like the sound of that. Are there any other ways fasting could benefit muscle growth?
There's another process that gets amped up during fasting, autophagy.
Autophagy, that sounds kind of intense.
It is, but in a good way.
Okay.
Think of it like your body's internal cleaning crew.
Okay.
It goes in and removes all the damaged or dysfunctional stuff from your cells, including your muscle cells.
So it's like a cellular detox.
Yeah.
Specifically for our muscles.
You could say that. And by getting rid of all that cellular junk, autophagy allows your muscles to function better and rebuild stronger.
So it's like clearing out the clutter to make room for new growth.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm starting to see how fasting could actually be a secret weapon for muscle growth.
Right.
But let's be real. There are so many myths and misconceptions out there
Oh, yeah, for sure.
about fasting and fitness. What are some of the most common ones you come across?
One that I hear all the time is that you have to work out fasted to see results.
Oh, yeah. I've heard that one too. Like fasted workouts are the only way to go.
Right. But as we discussed before,
Yeah.
fasted workouts aren't for everyone,
Mhm.
especially if you're lifting heavy or doing really intense training.
Okay.
It might actually be better to have some fuel on board.
Right, to help you power through.
Yeah, and to protect your muscles.
So it's about finding what works best for you, not just blindly following what everyone else is doing.
I agree. It's about listening to your body.
What other misconceptions do you hear a lot?
Oh, another big one is the fear that any fasting will automatically lead to muscle loss.
Right, like people picture their muscles just withering away.
Yeah, exactly.
Shit.
But as we've learned, that's just not true.
Right, as long as we're doing it right.
Exactly. Prioritizing protein strength training, staying hydrated, timing your workouts.
Yeah.
You can definitely maintain and even build muscle while you're fasting.
So it's not about avoiding fasting altogether.
Right.
It's about doing it strategically.
It's it.
Okay, what about this one? I've heard that breaking a fast with a giant meal will help you gain muscle faster.
The feast after the famine approach.
Yeah, is there any truth to that?
Well, you definitely want to replenish your energy stores after a fast. But overeating can actually lead to fat gain, not muscle gain.
So even when you're breaking a fast, moderation is still key.
Definitely. It's
Okay.
about nourishing your body without going overboard.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Any other misconceptions we should talk about?
One more that comes up a lot is the idea that longer fasts are always better.
Yeah, like the longer you fast, the better the results.
Right. But while longer fasts can definitely have their benefits, they're also more challenging and require more planning.
Right, you don't want to just dive into a 5-day fast without being prepared.
Exactly. It's not about how long you can fast. It's about finding what works best for you.
And what your body can handle.
Right.
All right, so we've talked about some of the potential benefits of fasting for muscle growth and busted a few common myths.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts before we move on to the practical tips?
It's important to remember that fasting research is still relatively new.
Okay.
We're learning more all the time. But what we do know
Yeah.
is that when it's done right, fasting can be a really powerful tool.
Right. It's not about deprivation.
It's about working with our bodies
Yeah.
and leveraging our natural processes.
I love that.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dives, I want to encourage everyone to keep an open mind. Stay curious and keep learning about new approaches to health and fitness.
Absolutely.
Fasting may or may not be right for you,
Right.
but the knowledge we're gaining today can help you make informed decisions about your body.
I agree. Knowledge is power.
It really is. And by understanding the science behind fasting,
Mm-hmm.
we can unlock its potential benefits while minimizing any risks.
Exactly.
So let's keep exploring.
Yeah.
And in part 3, we'll get into some practical strategies for actually incorporating fasting into your routine.
Sounds good.
We'll talk about how to do it safely and effectively,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll also touch on the importance of mindset and sustainability.
Looking forward to it.
Welcome back to our final part of this deep dive into fasting and muscle loss.
I can't believe we're already here.
I know, right? Time flies when you're having fun and busting myths.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So are you ready to get practical?
I am. Let's talk about how people can actually start incorporating fasting into their lives.
All right. So the most important thing is to start slow and really listen to your body.
Okay, so no jumping into a 72-hour fast right away.
Probably not the best idea for beginners.
Yeah. What would be a good starting point then?
Well, a really popular and beginner-friendly method is the 168 method.
Okay, I've heard of that one. Remind me what that looks like.
So basically, you fast for 16 hours each day, and then you have an 8-hour window where you can eat.
Okay, 16 hours fasting, 8 hours eating. Seems pretty straightforward.
It is.
Oh.
And you can adjust the timing to fit your schedule and preferences.
So some flexibility there.
Nice.
What are some other tips for getting started with fasting?
Well, consistency is key. Try to stick to your fasting schedule as much as possible.
Yeah, makes sense. The more consistent you are, the better your body can adapt.
Exactly. And once you're comfortable with 168,
Mhm.
you can experiment with longer fasts if you want to.
Okay, but always paying attention to how you're feeling.
Of course. Your body will tell you what it needs.
Okay, so start slow, be consistent. What about hydration? Any tips for staying hydrated while fasting?
Oh, yeah, that's super important. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water, herbal tea, or other non-caloric beverages throughout the day.
Especially during those fasting windows.
Absolutely.
So no sugary drinks or anything like that.
Right, just stick to the calorie-free option.
Okay, gotcha. What about the food we eat during our eating windows?
Yeah.
Do we need to follow like a super strict diet or anything?
Not necessarily, just focus on eating nutrient-dense whole foods,
Okay.
like fruits, veggies,
Right.
lean protein, healthy fats.
All the good stuff.
Exactly. It's about nourishing your body, not depriving it.
Right. So we can still enjoy our meals.
Of course, fasting shouldn't feel like a punishment.
I like that. What about exercise though?
Yeah.
Should we change up our workout routine when we're fasting?
Well, remember, we talked about timing your workouts strategically.
Right.
If you're doing really intense workouts,
Mm-hmm.
you might benefit from working out during or right after your eating window.
Okay, so having some fuel in the tank can make a difference.
It can, but again, listen to your body.
Right.
If you feel good working out fasted, then go for it.
So no hard and fast rules.
Exactly. It's all about finding what works best for you.
Okay, so we've talked about starting slow, being consistent, staying hydrated,
Mm-hmm.
choosing the right foods, and timing our workouts.
Right?
Any other pearls of wisdom for our fasting newbies out there?
Just remember that fasting is just one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
It's not a magic solution, and it shouldn't replace a healthy lifestyle overall.
So it's about the big picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't forget about things like sleep stress management and doing activities you enjoy.
Makes sense. Fasting should complement our lives, not consume them.
I agree. And speaking of complementing our lives,
Yeah.
let's talk about the mental side of fasting, mindset, and sustainability.
Mindset. How does that tie into fasting?
Well, any lifestyle change takes mental effort,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And if you go into fasting with a negative or restrictive mindset,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be much harder to stick with it.
It's like anything, if you feel deprived, you're not going to want to do it.
Right. So focus on the positive.
Okay.
What benefits are you experiencing? Are you feeling more energized, more focused? Are you managing your weight better?
So celebrate those wins, big or small.
Exactly. And remember, it's okay to have off days or adjust your fasting schedule.
Right. Life happens. Flexibility is key.
It is.
Hmm.
And if you're ever struggling or feeling overwhelmed,
Yeah.
don't be afraid to reach out for support.
That's such good advice. Talk to your doctor, a dietitian, or even find a supportive community.
Totally. Having that support system can make all the difference.
Wow, this deep dive has been amazing.
Yeah, it has.
We've learned so much about fasting, from the science to the practical tips.
I think we've officially busted a lot of myths.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And most importantly,
That
I
went
hope
for-
we've inspired people to approach fasting with curiosity and a commitment to their well-being.
Me too. Knowledge is power.
It really is. And by understanding our bodies, we can make choices that truly support our health and fitness goals.
So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those bodies moving.
Absolutely. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep diving deep.